All right, we got a whole bunch of stuff lined up in terms of linkages and some other fancy things because we got Trey Ratcliff coming on, guys. And again, if you're not familiar with photography or any of that kind of stuff, he's going to be able to walk us through it and tell a little bit about his journey. So let me give him a quick little call, and then we will go from there. For anyone watching right now that doesn't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of a background and then how you got involved in NFTs?
My name is Trey Ratcliff. I'm an artist. I live here in Queenstown, New Zealand. I moved here about 12 years ago. And so I spent most of my life actually doing IT kind of work and software and kind of entrepreneurial. And then around age 35, I'm 50 now, but around 35, I got my first camera and I just fell in love with photography. I ended up going about it in a bit of a weird way and kind of popularized type of photography named HDR, high dynamic range. Everyone knows what that is now. It was like super niche at the time, but it's ended up becoming super popular with millions of followers and all this kind of stuff. And so the art business turned into a multi-million-dollar business. We have all kinds of collectors from all around the world. We got people that play for the NFL. We have famous people like celebrities like Edward Norton and Leo DiCaprio. And I just got into NFTs about maybe 6 months ago, although I've known about him for about 3 years.
Guys, I'm going to pull up some of his different collections, and if there's any ones in specific you want me to go through, but we're looking at beautiful cities of the world right here. You're sitting at the floor price of 1.5. You have 55 different items, and I know some people were really intrigued by the pyramid photos in specific in Cairo. Could you talk about kind of that one or any of the pieces that you have for sale here?
I took 50 of my favorite city photos from around the world and decided to put them into a collection. And they really seem to go off because people seem to have like affections for certain cities or certain places. Maybe as for the pyramids one, I try to take my family every year on a round the world trip. I've got 3 kids, and I think it's really important for people to travel because I know travel has made me a more gentle person. So then we went to India. We lived on a train for a few weeks, so they got to understand more about Hinduism, and they all got to pick out their favorite gods and demigods. You know, they're all like Marvel superheroes in a way. And then we went to the Middle East. We went to Oman, Qatar, and Cairo to study Islam, and that's where we took this photo. So we were out at the pyramids, and those are my 3 kids you can see there in the distance.
So I'm bringing up one photo right now from Marrakesh, and the people in it are still, but the sky is moving. How in the world do you do that?
Full disclosure, I'm part owner in this company called Plotograph, where you can take any still photo and animate it.
Oh, okay.
And people seem to love it. And probably one of the best things about this software is that it animates it, but it puts it in this infinite loop that you can't really see it looping. If you look closely, you can, if there's a big like contrast change. But in general, I just kind of like how it flows. People like a little bit of motion sometimes. I like something that feels like it's a little bit alive. And I've been taking, tens of thousands of photos for the past 15 years, and some of them suit themselves really well to this kind of animation. So I would say of the 50 photos that I have in that collection on OpenSea, about 75% are animated, and they just seem to sell better than the still ones.
How have you found like marketing yourself in a way? Because obviously you've been in the realm for 6 months, but is it something where people like kind of just recognize you, or are you kind of like putting yourself out there to get exposure?
I guess I have a little bit of a name, a little bit of a brand that's preceded me, so that's been helpful. So I'm not just some rando photographer, and a lot of good accomplishment. Again, I don't take myself seriously, but I've gotten to be pretty well known for having photos in the Smithsonian, and I've been quite controversial. I do lots of public speaking. I do these photo walks around the world. So I've kind of had this grassroots community thing. When I did begin to launch the NFTs, I mentioned it a little bit on social media. We've got a pretty good newsletter with over 100,000 people. The blog's super popular. And just only recently have I even gotten a Discord. I've always done this in-person community thing where we're out walking around together. That's not so easy anymore with COVID, and because I'm kind of stuck here in New Zealand. So doing it online, this is kind of like the next natural step. About 3 years ago, I had a guy fly out to New Zealand, come here to my studio where I'm at now, and explain to me about NFTs. His name is Yash, and he's one of the founders of Pinterest. Yash, Indian gentleman, coming out here, goes, Trey, I got to tell you about NFTs. This is 3 years ago. He was just sitting here. He talked to me for like an hour about like putting art in the blockchain, and then like I was kind of just like blank face. I was like, Yash, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I was like, keep explaining it. So I made him stay here for a few more hours. They're like, okay, I think that'll be big someday. We've got some other things in the works. Oh my gosh, it'll blow your mind. We're trying to figure out what to do next. There's so many possibilities, and with every drop, I try to do something quite different. You know, we had like a super successful very first drop on Foundation, where we donated all the money to charity, and that went great. I'm not afraid to make mistakes at all. Luckily, we haven't made any huge mistakes yet. We made a few small ones. Yeah, we're learning as we go. And like watching streams like yours, like I've been watching today, I learn a lot. There's so much stuff going on. It's fucking crazy.
It's hard to keep up, yeah. Okay, so you mentioned Foundation in there. We got the link to your Foundation account. You got Sunset Burns, Machine Elf, Art Evolution. We got the Burning Embrace, where it's two people embracing each other with all these flames in the background in a full set. What in the world was going on for this photo?
Well, I've been to Burning Man every year for the last 10 years, except for these COVID years. And that, like, I find the art to be so inspirational there. And this is a piece called Burning Embrace, and it took them like 4 or 5 months to build. I think it probably cost like $500,000. It's all made out of wood. And then so we had it there for 4 days, and then they burned it down.
That's cool. And some of these pieces have been selling for 4 to 5 ETH. And like, I mean, I guess when you first started NFTs and dabbling in this kind of thing, what's your take now? Like from the ETH that you made potentially way back then, have you held on to it? Were you a person that ended up switching to fiat? Did you believe in the whole cryptocurrency type aspect of things back then? Or has it kind of come around to you a bit more now?
No, I'm super bullish on ETH. I don't think I'm a great investor or anything like that, but I'm leaving as much as I can in ETH. I ended up putting quite a bit in Solana, because that seems to be doing really well. I'm trying to figure out the Solana chain, which is confusing to me, but it looks like it's going well. So I think the whole place is just blowing up. For a while, I thought, oh, this is just a fad. It's a weird little bubble, but I don't think so, man. There's so many people getting into this.
Okay, so there was a few different collections that you sent me before we hopped on the call, and I just want to go to another one here. I think the cover photo is great on it, but the Trey Ratcliff Drop 1. You got 6 different items in here, including Dragonfire, Awakening to What Is, the Spiral Sea Above, Canyon Spiral, Yellowstone on Fire, and Water in 4 forms. And I don't know, this kind of gives me the whole like Lord of the Rings type fantasy vibes. It's I love it. So where were some of these photos taken, if you remember?
Yeah, so this is taken here in New Zealand. This is down in the fjords. It's called Milford Sound, down in the southern island of New Zealand. This photo, some people probably recognize it. It's actually been inverted. It's upside down, because I felt like those little white rocks underwater kind of felt like stars. So, but people actually do like to be confused. And you may notice this when you look at NFTs or Instagram or whatever, like you just see it and you grok it right away. But as soon as you're confused by something, like, what's happening in this? So that's a counterintuitive thing. Like, it's good to confuse people. And that's what I did with this photo.
And then the Canyon Spiral. This one is way more confusing than the last one.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed animating this one. It's quite trippy. You know, I do quite a few psychedelics, and I think that's part of where I get a lot of my breakthroughs and art and ideas. This is a place called the Slot Canyons, and it's quite dangerous in there. You have to get permission from the Native American or First People, or I'm not sure what they're called, to go into these things. And it's super dangerous because it rains and there's flash floods, and then like just rain and water comes flooding through here, and it kills people every year. So it's quite a dangerous place, but exciting also.
This guy's like, yep, sign me up. I'm down to take a photo of it. No problem. No.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And then the spiral above, the spiral sea above. I think this looks amazing, but it looks like you were at like a spot with like very open clouds, or what is this?
Yeah, this is in Namibia, kind of in towards the southern part of Africa. It was me and probably 9 of my friends, and we're just up partying on the roof. We're all getting like super drunk, like, and just playing ridiculous games and having wine. And I had this idea, like, I want to take a picture of the stars, like while I sleep. So before the party got too intense, I set up my camera and my tripod and I aimed it towards the South Pole. Whenever you see any of these spirally kind of shots, either you're aimed at the South Pole or the North Pole. As soon as the partying stopped and I was just barely conscious enough, I hit go. I opened the shutter and I let it stay open all night for 5 hours. And then I woke up and I woke up, I was like, I'm super confused. Why am I on a roof in Namibia? I feel weird. And I looked over and I saw my camera. I was like, oh yeah, I took a picture. You slowly piece together what happened the previous night. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then so I went up and I looked at it and I saw this photo. I was like, wow, man, did I do that?
That looks, yeah, that's sweet. I love it. I love it. All right, well, Trey, if we happen to have any photographers watching, or just for my own sake, if someone's trying to get into photography, what do you suggest for them? And if they're trying to get into photography and sell that as an NFT, do you have anything else advice-wise for them?
It's a great skill for anyone to develop because it really helps you appreciate the world around you, and you'll begin to notice things that other people don't notice. Humans generally enjoy this idea of like figuring stuff out and noticing things that other people don't notice. It makes them feel a little superior to other humans, maybe. Not that that's the point, but when you start to take photos, you really start to notice light and shadow and what is interesting versus what is not interesting. And so it's a great tool to get to know yourself. Like, what do you think is interesting? What do you think is not interesting? Like, so I would go really niche, like find something that, don't do what you think is going to be popular, right? Then you're always chasing what other people might like. Like, find something really weird that you're into. Don't worry about like what's popular. Find something really weird, because I guarantee you there's 1,000 people out there that will find it really interesting. And then just experiment with NFTs, like, and be prepared to fail. Like, going with super low expectations. Try a few marketplaces. The downside is almost nothing. The downside is like a gas fee of maybe $50 and maybe 5 or 10 hours of your time. But during that time, you're going to learn a lot.
Yo, I love the way you put that. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Guys, Trey's Twitter is there in the chat if you're wanting to follow up and follow what he's doing in the NFT space and photography as a whole. Please do follow him. Trey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on today, and happy to have you back again sometime soon, and enjoy the rest of your day down there in New Zealand.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. That's Trey. Peace, peace. All right. There we go. Yo. The Trey, the final part there. Listen, no capper and the slapper. That final part where he kind of broke down everything. I was like, you don't want to go for like everything that people are gonna, like what you think is popular. Be outside of the box. You really got nothing to lose. Just putting yourself out there, it does wonders.